Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brief video I wanted to just do. I'm on my way to Boscombe to visit a friend, and I keep meaning to stop at this building and do a couple of minutes on it just to further demonstrate the kind of thing I talk about when I talk about windows being below ground level and how that doesn't make sense and how you wouldn't have built buildings like that because it just wouldn't have made any practical sense. Well, here's a great example. So as you can see here, I'm stood in front of a building that has a car park which by nature will be up a few inches because of the asphalt and all the stuff that you have to put below the asphalt to make it all nice and solid and all the rest of it, and this, that, the other. So anything that you see with tarmac on, concrete, all the rest of it will by procedure and by necessity be raised up, and probably even a few feet, right? But that does not explain then this phenomena here, which I keep going on about. So this is with the car park, with the asphalt, with everything finished. This is the level it's come up. So I could facetiously ask the question, okay, so the people who built this building originally, they had this building with this car park in mind, did they? Before we had cars, they thought, well, one day they're going to asphalt a car park with cars on it, so we'll build it exactly to this depth into the ground so that we can then... No, of course not. It's absolute nonsense. So as you can see here, the side of that building is absolutely submerged, right? There's the chimney on there, obviously that's added, but what I'm saying is that's all brickwork on the side here. So ignore the asphalt that I'm walking on for the moment. Imagine it's not there. Someone's turned the alarm off, thank goodness for that. Right, but look at that. And this is a phenomenon you see all throughout Bournemouth. You know, from the road, you wouldn't think anything of it. But this is attached to the side of the house. It's part of the house build. Right, and a big one at that. And as you can see, it is absolutely submerged. Quite incredible, really. And you're seeing this in many places. And I'd like to get to the bottom of it, really. Not the bottom of it in terms of who actually built it, because we're never going to know that, because the history books, as we know, have already lied to us on many fronts, right? But, this here is, for me, one of the standout buildings in Bournemouth to look at and go, yeah. I mean, it literally looks like, if you imagine all this being liquid, right? They've just, some big fella has got a house and just put it there, and everything's then just settled around it. It's mad. No, the ground has come up, and of course they've leveled the ground later on, engineers have, to then be able to allow for, modern day transport and all the rest of it, and also for you to then be able to access these buildings. So here they've had to build stairs down because they've lifted the ground up that high, and that's just to there, right? So here's the car park, here's some stairs down. There's concrete at the bottom of that, which means that goes down further. Well, I know it goes down further because that, whether there's a door there or not, that's a big hole in the wall. That will not be your foundational wall. You'll have to have levels below that. And then, of course, here you see it demonstrated very clearly. So here, again, the ground has come up. They would have pulled that earth back, which is what we then call retaining walls, created a retaining wall, which they do on a lot of buildings throughout the UK. You see this, not just in the UK, right? So they build a retaining wall to then access this that would have been accessible at one point, but then of course the ground levels having come up, they had to do work on refurbishing and all the rest of it to be able to then access these premises. Again, you have this on the front of the house. No big deal, you might think, but then when you take a closer look, they've had to put what I call concrete gangplanks up from the newly developed roads where they've added stuff to levels that have risen to then access this building pretty much halfway bloody up it. That's clearly not the bottom of the building, is it? You know? And again, the same phenomena. Seats a bit higher here, but same phenomena, retaining walls, all the rest of it. But I hope that some of you who had those questions about what on earth I'm talking about, I hope that makes it a bit understandable. You wouldn't have to build staircases that go up like this into the sides of houses if everything was built flush to ground level. If you're building your infrastructure, wherever it is you're living around the world, you're doing it so that it will harmonize with each other, so it will be accessible and all the rest of it. This has clearly been done after the fact, and they've had to make the road networks that we see around us adaptable to the buildings, the big, solid buildings that we see dotted around everywhere, that are used for often important things like banks and town halls, and they've repurposed a lot of the other ones like churches, priories, cathedrals, minsters, and all the rest of it, right? Most of them made of red brick, all of them with cladding on, and in that cladding they'll have a date when it was allegedly built, and it wasn't. And a few of these churches, they'll even keep an old date just to give you, you know, a bit of validity that yes, actually people were doing this 800 years ago, even though they had no technology to do so, and hardly a population to speak of either. Okay, there you go. I thought I'd just bring that to you because I think that is a very interesting building to look at. It kind of demonstrates it very well. And it's on the corner of one of the main streets in Bournemouth. You know, if you're coming to Bournemouth at any point, the chances are you are going to drive past this building. You know, quite a thing. Anyway, there you go. I shall leave it there. Some food for thought as always, and we'll talk again soon. So until then, I'll speak to you all soon, some of you sooner. Take it easy, and ta-ta for now.